As far as we can determine here in Washington County, this is our county's first ever proclamation in honor of Native American Heritage Month. Although we've taken great care to do no harm by consulting with members of our Native American community for this important milestone, we ask for forgiveness for any mistakes made along the way as we seek to learn and to do better in the future. As a learning organization with a diverse workforce, I want to extend my appreciation for our Washington County staff who have helped to plan this proclamation and the associated learning opportunities we have set up for us throughout this next month. And with that, I welcome Sherry Kurk up.
Tanze, and good morning, Chair Harrington and Board of Commissioners. For the record, my name is Sherry Kurk. I am Métis, which is one of 3 groups of Indigenous peoples in Canada. I work at the Auditor's Office as a Senior Management Auditor. As a first step in creating a respectful space for this occasion, we are honored to have with us today Elder Celeste Celeste Whitewolf to offer a blessing before we proceed, and immediately after the blessing, Harmony Paul will be our drummer-singer. Miss Paul is a Native American drummer with the Four Directions drum group located in Portland. Her tribes are Nez Perce, Cowlitz, Flathead, and Yakima.
Thank you, Ms. Kurk.
My name is Katsat. On my mother's side, I'm Cayuse and Nez Perce. My name comes from one of the people of the old Joseph band. Katsat and her son White Wolf were part of the Nez Perce Wallowa band chased through this Montana. They eventually were taken as prisoners of war and held in Kansas and Oklahoma. They returned eventually to the Umatilla Reservation. I descend from the Wallowa band. On my father's side, I'm Hawaiian. I don't know if that's here. Hawaiian, Italian, Swiss, Greek, Nisqually, Pit River, and Koruk. And I say these to you because I ask you to recognize the people of this land, and that the people of this land are people made up of a lot of smaller tribes. Also that we, as Indian people, we were not sedentary in our places. We did travel. So the Cayuse came over to this area, the Wascos, the Columbia River people, the people from the ocean came here. So there were a lot of people who recognized this area as part of their historical gathering and hunting areas. I also, thank you, I thought I was using my longhouse voice when I just did that. I also would like you to encourage, and I've listened to all of the various issues that you have brought forward, and I appreciate the work that you're doing. You have a lot of these little details that you have to think about all the time. I ask you to add to your list of details, reaching out to the people of today who are in this area. There are a lot of different tribes in the metropolitan area. There are a lot of different people represented here. One of the things I'd like you to consider is naming some of the places that you have here after the people of this land. I understand there's some buildings being built. There's some rooms that might still need names. That one man, is he still here? One of your Shoyapo people told me about that. So I ask you to consider involving the Native people here. Finally, as a part of the history of this area, Forest Grove was the first place where Indian children were taken and schooled at Forest Grove. My great-grandfather, Peter Kalama from Nisqually, was there, and he met his wife Lily, my great-grandparents.
So I ask you to look at that history too, how Forest Grove could be brought back and remembered as where the Indians were first taken from their parents and educated there. My mother was also one of those educated later on at Chemawa. So their impact of the treatment by the non-Indians has been somewhat very devastating because we've lost our language, we've lost some of our ways, but we are still here. We will still be here for many, many years. And I thank you for the honor of being able to say a little prayer for you, give you the strength to continue what you're doing, and to also give strength to others. So now on to my prayer, and I ask that I do this for the whole community, not just the policymakers, but the whole community. I ask that, yes, please stand. Thank you, Creator, for bringing these wise people together in this place of learning and sharing, in this place where we help one another, we don't hurt one another, in this place where we recognize the goals of one person can also be the goals of a community. Thank you, Creator, and take care of all of those who have been hit by this horrible disease. Thank you, Creator, for helping to bring the people who share their kindness with those who are hurting, with those who have lost loved ones. Thank you, Creator, for bringing this group of people together, and may these people continue to work together so that they help protect this community, whether this community is Indian, non-Indian, brown, black, green, red, blue, or whatever color we decide we want to be today. Thank you, Creator, for bringing us all together and sharing this world, and we hope to make a better place for all of us. Thank you. When you're a Native person, I'm going to teach you something. When you're a Native person and you have a person that says words that you appreciate, you should say "I" and raise your hand. I. Thank you.
My name is Kinema. Hello, everybody, and I'm gonna be doing the honor song for after the prayer. It's a custom for us to do an honor song right after a prayer or before, and we also stand during the song. thank you.
Very good.
You may be all seated now.
Thank you, Elder Celeste and Harmony. So, David Lewis is a descendant of the Santiam, Capulia, Chinook, and Taklama peoples, and a member of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. Dr. Lewis has a PhD from the University of Oregon and is in the faculty of Anthropology and Ethics Studies departments at Oregon State University.
Hello, Dr. Lewis, can you hear us?
I can, thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you for inviting me. This is a great honor. It was a great honor to work on the proclamation as well. I've noticed that their chairwoman has a nice dentalium necklace. That's really great. Hopefully everybody else wants one too, because they're really great necklaces to have. I want to say kapai, that is Kalapuyan for a greeting, hello. And it's a language that is now extinct. There's no known speakers. So our elder earlier today that talked about Forest Grove boarding school, that was part of that history of eradicating many of our languages for the tribes today. I wanted to also sort of let you all know that this land that you are on today is originally the Atfalati Tualatin Kalapuya lands. I am not of the Atfalati peoples. I'm actually of the Santiam Kalapuyans of Western Oregon, member of the Grand Ronde tribe. I also am Tekelma and Chinook, as the chairperson said. So I've been studying the tribes of Oregon for a good long time now, and have come to understand pretty well their context, and I hope you all joined us for the presentation around noon, which may be a little later than noon because we're running late. So, but I just wanted to let you know that we have a long history here, some 10,000 years at least or more, and that this year I have become an elder in my tribe. So that is a good thing, as well as sometimes in the back of my mind a negative thing, because it means I'm an old person now. So, but that is the way it is. So welcome to the meeting. I didn't have a presentation that took 10 minutes, and I'll see you all at noon. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. And just in case the board meeting continues on past noon, I hope that someone is recording. Yes, I see Latricia Tillman shaking her head yes, so that we might be able to follow up with that. Thank you, Dr. Lewis. And now back to you, Ms. Kirk.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. And now I would like to call up and introduce Jenny Sanchez, who is a Title VI parent and a tribal member of the Grand Ronde Tribe, and Alice Smith, a Hillsboro School District senior and tribal member of the Klamath Tribe.
We'll set one of you up at this table here as well, and one of you at that microphone as well. Thank you for joining us.
Whereas Washington County is committed to creating an inclusive community that celebrates diversity and ensures all residents have equitable opportunities to lead healthy, peaceful, safe, and sustainable lives. And whereas, in honoring the cultures, traditions, and accomplishments of Native Americans that have shaped our country, we also acknowledge our nation's history of colonialism that has inflicted discrimination, deprivation, violence, and genocide upon Indigenous people. And whereas the area currently known as Washington County, Oregon, rests on land that was first inhabited by the Atfalati Kalapuyans, also called the Tualatin people, who flourished here for thousands of years.
And
that was not ceded nor paid for until 1855 under the Willamette Valley Treaty. And whereas the Apalati signed an 1851 treaty with the United States which never ratified, and in 1855 signed on to the Willamette Valley Treaty with many other tribes, which was ratified, ceding all of their land to the United States in exchange for a permanent reservation, supplies, and services. And whereas the Apalati owned Wapato Lake in Washington County previous to their removal, and the lake was drained to make farmland, destroying the vast Wapato field, which were principal resources to the Apalati people for thousands of years.
And whereas the Apalati were removed to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation in 1856, where they were treated badly by the United States government and Indian agents, being denied land, adequate food, medicines, and services for nearly 20 years, causing many Native people to live in poverty and to suffer untimely deaths. And whereas the first off-reservation Indian boarding school in Oregon was established in Forest Grove, and many Native students from area reservations were removed from their families and sent there, forced to stop speaking their languages and to assimilate away from their native culture, causing generations of trauma and disassociation from their culture and community. And whereas the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation was terminated by the United States Congress in 1954 in Public Law 588, causing the displacement and disenfranchisement of thousands of Native peoples of Oregon, including the Apalati peoples, who were then forced to leave the former reservation, causing further loss of Native languages and culture.
And whereas the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde Community of Oregon was restored in 1983 under Public Law 98-165, with the Apalati people as members, beginning the process of restoring the tribe, community, and culture of the tribal nation. And whereas the Apalati people endured to this day as members of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde Community of Oregon, having survived catastrophic diseases, losses of their ancestral land, forced relocation to a reservation, long-term mismanagement of the reservation, family separation through the removal of children to boarding schools, and termination. And whereas, after overcoming numerous setbacks over the years to regain treaty-acquired land and federal recognition as a sovereign nation, the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde Community have established a successful government to serve the needs of their members and also generously support the advancement of underserved communities throughout Northwest Oregon. And whereas we seek to repair the trauma of past oppression and broken trust, both locally and regionally, by lifting up Indigenous cultures and voices, and striving together to build a future of shared hope and promises for all.
Now therefore be it resolved that on this third day of November 2020, the Washington County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim November 2020 as Native American Heritage Month, a time to celebrate the rich and diverse cultures of Indigenous people, to raise awareness about our shared history, and acknowledge the important contributions that Native Americans have made to our community and our nation.
And before you get up, commissioners, might we entertain a motion to adopt this proclamation as read?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting this proclamation in honor of Native American Heritage Month, please do so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Thank you very much for joining us today. That was Jenny Sanchez as well as Ayla Smith.
Thank you, Jenny and Ella. I just want to say, want to invite everyone up for a photo opportunity with the Board of Commissioners who's participated in today's proclamation activities. I also want to remind all Washington County employees that Dr. Lewis will be having his presentation via Zoom. You can access through the intranet, has that posted. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, before we take a photo, are there any remarks you'd like to share?
I'd like to say thank you for this presentation. Thank you for the blessing. Thank you for the song. It was very moving and served as one more time for me to reflect on the importance of this proclamation. So thank you very much.
And to reflect on all the wrongs that have been done.
Yeah.
And how those could never be apologized for adequately.
I appreciate how elders and young Native Americans have been teaching me how to be more respectful of traditions from time immemorial, to think as an elected official out at least 6 generations as we make decisions that impact life, not only here today and for tomorrow, but out those future generations. We are honored to have you join us today and to help guide us through doing things in a more respectful and appropriate manner.